Caring for a child who has a fever can be not only stressful, but also very scary. I'm joined by Nataly Tormey, founder of WONDERWOMAN Children. Nataly, what can you tell us about the current recommendations for treating a child with a fever?
Hey, how you going? It's so good to be here again and help you guys out with some important information. You're right, fevers are really, really scary for parents. And I know as a parent myself, when my child has had fever, feeling them at such high temperatures, you do tend to panic, and it's a very abnormal situation that we think. But actually, internally and physically, it's a very normal response for our body. So we're talking of any babies over the age of 3 months. Under the age of 3 months, please always go check up with your GP or a medical professional if they have a temperature, okay? But over the age of 3 months, the current recommendations if your child has a fever is let's try and ride it out a little bit, okay? As long as your child is well in all other ways, so they're breathing, they're responding to you, they might just have a virus, they might be unwell, and the point of the fever in this situation is actually to create such high temperatures that it actually kills off any bacteria or virus in your child's body. So it's a defense mechanism. It's really, really important. So often I hear people saying, and still to this day, that if my child has a fever, I ask them, what are you going to do if your child has a fever? And they'll tell me that they'll still put it in a bath that's icy cold. You just pull the face. Yes, it still happens. You know, my mum did it to me. I remember her stripping my clothes off late at night and throwing me in the icy cold bath to fan them and cool them. And everyone's still a bit stuck on what we do. So first of all, know what a temperature is and have some sort of measurement tool in your home, a thermometer, to be able to tell their temperature. Once your child has a temperature, make an assessment. How are they behaving? Are they still well in general? Are they just a bit exhausted? Are they in pain? You have to make that assessment on your child. We always say it's not about the number of the fever, it's how your child's acting. And often we get really, really obsessed on that number. It's not about the number, it's about your child. So once you've recognised that your child is well, that has a temperature, we're not going to rip their clothes off, we're not going to put them in a cold bath. We can take off some additional clothing if they do have it, and a general rule is once you take that clothing off, the last one that you take off, if they get a bit of a shiver, that's the one you're putting back on. So that's just a little bit of a key guide to how many layers they should have, but it's exactly the same as an adult. When we have a fever, we want to rug up, we want to sweat underneath our blankets. It's the same response for them, okay? Once you do that, then you're going to determine, is your child irritable or aren't they irritable? If they're irritable, of course, you're going to give them some pain relief with a medication like Panadol. But if they're not irritable, the current advice is do not give Panadol just for the sake of giving it to reduce temperature. You are only ever going to give Panadol when your child has a fever if they're irritable. So if they're not irritable, we're not giving any Panadol for their fever, which is a big one, because even me, many moons ago with my children, I'd be waking them up, trying to put Panadol in them, trying to reduce that temperature. I think the biggest question is then, well, oh my gosh, how high is this fever going to get? You know, if I'm not giving any Panadol, how high is it going to get? Don't worry, you know, if the child is showing signs of deterioration, obviously look into it, but there's no truth in many of the myths saying that your child's going to get permanent brain damage because of a fever and all that jazz. So all this information can be found in the Royal Children's Hospital. They have some fantastic fact sheets about their current recommendations for temperature management. So I always advise jump online, especially if you're getting into debate with your mother-in-law or your friend, and print out that fact sheet, and it's got lots of information about management of fevers and temperatures.
Thank you so much, Nataly. In addition to the Royal Children's Hospital's recommendations, you can find out more about WONDERWOMAN Children's First Aid courses by visiting wonderwomanchildren.com.